like to call up Councilmember Ho to lead in the ceremonial swearing-in ceremony. I would like to invite all members to come down for the ceremony. Down for the ceremony. Please make sure we exercise social distancing. During the ceremony, you may remove your mask. This will be interesting because I have to raise my right hand. Okay, I'll raise my hand. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. All right. I do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter. Congratulations and thank you for your service. You may go back to your seats. Everybody seated? The next item we're going to do is call for the election of the chair and the vice chair. We'll start with the chair, and then we'll do a second vote for the vice chair. Feel free to nominate who you'd like to have be the chair of this committee.
I am Kelly Wang. I want to nominate Charlie as the chair of the committee.
Second.
Got a second? All in favor? Everyone vote? All in favor?
Aye. Yes.
Thank you. All right, so we can move, let's nominate the vice chair and then we'll change some seats really quick. Nominations for the vice chair.
Bonnie nominates Key One for vice chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye. Aye.
There we go.
Aye.
Now we will move the two members to the middle. We'll just need to change seats. So the chairman, I'll move the name tag. Yeah. Vice Chair was yeah, that's good. Now the chairman can take control of the meeting and lead it forward. The next item on the agenda is just Brown Act information that we provided. You had the information in advance. Just want to make sure that only one person speaks at a time and that we're respectful of others as well. Also, we've had a request for our communications to extend it from 3 minutes to 5 minutes. If the committee is in favor of that, thus far we have 2 speakers that would like to speak. Is the committee in agreement to move oral communications from 3 minutes to 5 minutes? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
All right. That's allow oral communications. First speaker, Terry Raines.
Good morning. My name is Terry Raines and I live here in Westminster, and thank you for the 5 minutes. Those who know me personally already know how much I support the local Vietnamese community and all of our veterans. United States military forces have won many battles and many wars in our nation's history, but I don't see monuments honoring all of those victories here in Westminster. If the U.S. hadn't won the battles it had, Vietnamese refugees would not have had this great country to escape to after the fall of Saigon. Over 58,000 of our U.S. soldiers paid the ultimate sacrifice during the Vietnam War, fighting for the freedom of the South Vietnamese people. Of those killed, 5,575 were from California, 10 of which right here in Westminster, and another 40 from Garden Grove. Another 150,000 were wounded, and countless others have suffered lifelong PTSD. You may not understand what it was like to be a U.S. citizen or U.S. soldier during this war. Over 2 million U.S. soldiers were drafted by the U.S. government to fight in this war, which was considered by many to be a foreign land civil war, but yes, also an attempt to prevent the spread of communism. Those drafted young men did not have a choice. This war caused a deep divide in our nation. In the U.S., we endured constant raw graphic footage daily on our news media. The U.S. spent $168 billion, equal to $1 trillion in today's dollars in this war. But most painful is how our soldiers were treated both during and after the war. There were no welcome home rallies or parades, no respect, no empathy shown to these brave soldiers when they arrived back on U.S. soil. Instead, they were spat upon, attacked, shunned, and worse. Where is the War Memorial in Westminster honoring all of these brave soldiers? In Sid Goldstein Freedom Park. That war memorial there was meant to honor all who fought and all who died, all soldiers from all countries and all battles. The South Vietnamese, even locally, wrongly blame the U.S. for losing their war. The truth is, without U.S. involvement and support, including manpower, equipment, training, and lots of money, the South Vietnamese would have lost the war much sooner. Our country may not have warmly welcomed our veterans home, but over the next 4 years, they welcomed over 300,000 Vietnamese refugees into this country with open arms, and over 1 million more since then. This war was personal for me. I had several family members and close friends who served over there, some of which never recovered. The brother of my close friend died over there. And another friend, excuse me, was a POA for years. I'm sorry. I faithfully wore my POW bracelet, and thankfully my guy survived the Hanoi Hilton and has since met face-to-face with the men who shot him and captured him. Shot him down and captured him. The city of Westminster has so many serious issues going on right now. Westminster residents of all ethnicities, including Vietnamese, would rather see city officials and staff focus on more important matters instead of constructing yet another Quan Chi monument. When the city paused the Quang Tri Victory Foundation's monument project, the foundation found a place to install their monument up in San Jose, the true home of the largest Vietnamese population outside of Vietnam. I attended the unveiling ceremony here at La Quinta High School last month, and I was not at all impressed by the monument design. And I, along with most of this community, fiercely opposed putting any more monuments in Freedom Park. The project timeline in your agenda packet indicates city staff is going to hold these committee meetings every week until at least the end of this year, using up precious city staff time and resources. Who's going to do the fundraising and how? The city cannot do it. Frankly, those who want a Quang Tri monument built already donated to the previous foundation, so they probably won't contribute to another one. And honestly, do we really need 2 Quang Tri monuments in California? I think the answer is no. I've heard the chant, let it go, ho, and I agree. While this one, victory, is important to the South Vietnamese, ultimately the citadel, the entire Quang Tri province, and all of South Vietnam was lost to the communist north, so the victory was short-lived. The timeline shows 2 meetings in November and December to discuss a monument location recommendation. The scope of this committee is to evaluate and make recommendations regarding the monument design, how to depict the images and messages, which units to honor, and the title for the monument, but not to determine the location for the monument. The location recommendation is to come from the separate Monuments and Memorial Committee. Finally, a reminder, this is an advisory committee to the City Council. No council member should try and influence this committee's directions or its recommendations. And I hope it goes without saying that all meetings of this committee must be conducted in English, no exceptions, other than perhaps to translate public comments, though that will cost the city even more precious resources that we really can't afford. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this morning.
Second speaker, Camilla Overbeck.
Good morning. My name is Camilla and I'm a resident of Westminster. And I'd like to start out by saying thank you to Jake No and Diana Daubert and all the other city employees who have volunteered their time, free of charge, to be here. I'd also like to know how you managed to get the utility companies to donate their resources. I'd really like to be in on that deal. I assume all of that to be true since Councilmember Ho continues to state that the monument won't cost taxpayers a dime. So unless all of the aforementioned is true, this is in fact using taxpayer money. This monument has already wasted money and created further division in the city. Council meetings have run into the early morning hours because of this very issue. I'd also like to address your proposed timeline. It is absurd that you would have fundraising run concurrent with design and estimate, as well as monument construction. The fiscally prudent and responsible thing to do would be to begin fundraising concurrently with monument location recommendations and continue it throughout. The way this timeline is set up currently, you're going to be fundraising to try and keep up with construction costs. Before construction even begins, you should have an idea of what your budget is, with a minimum of 10% overage in your funds to account for any changes along the way. Additionally, since the taxpayer shouldn't be paying for any of this, your budget should also include all monies to cover the unveiling ceremony. How exactly do you plan to do this when your fundraising only runs for 3 months? Councilmember Ho, do you intend on paying for everything extra out of pocket or this committee? And in closing, I would just like to remind Councilmember Ho that earlier this year, community members spoke out at a council meeting asking for the pride flag to be flown over the city, which would have cost the city absolutely nothing. Your response was that to do so would be catering to one special interest group, and the council would then have to do it for all other groups. Otherwise, it would be seen as favoritism. Do you not see the hypocrisy of your actions with this monument versus flying of a flag? Continuing on with this monument screams of favoritism. And while we're on the topic of hypocrisy, at the last council meeting, the city watched on as Councilmember Ho cried what I believe to be performative tears about the loss of parkland that was illegally sold in 2016. Yet here we are discussing and planning a monument that will once again take away open space for residents to have picnics, play soccer, and just enjoy. Let it be known that I absolutely oppose this monument, but I am looking forward to Councilmember Ho's yes vote on flying the pride flag in June 2022. I'm certain you don't want to appear any more of a hypocrite than you already do. Thank you.
Are there any other speakers wishing to address that we don't have speaker slips for? No other speakers? All right, this concludes oral communication. Next item.
We will close the oral communication first, and then move to the next item. Okay, next item is the business. The first one is the vision and then design. So first of all, we talking about the vision. Anybody have an idea of the vision? Okay, the concern is the monument. Monument have to have two items. The small item is the vision and the design. Today we want to discuss about.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, today we want to discuss about the vision first, and then after that we go to design. If we have time to go for that one, and then I asked all the speakers, anybody in out here have any idea, concern about the vision? All the member, any?
I do.
Go ahead.
I have some ideas about the picture. When you're creating a monument, the depiction and the design, it should be running along with where it's going to be placed and the acreage, but long-term, view. But from all that's been presented, I'm visualizing, say, 3 South Vietnamese Army Marines, the people that were there, raising a flag atop some rubble that would give an idea of what has been presented before. I have talked with Thuy Nguyen, the artist and sculptor, and not only did he develop the beloved Vietnam War Memorial that we know, but he was involved with all of the committees. Mayor Frank Fry, the Vietnam War Memorial Committee, Lieutenant Colonel Greg Mandeville, and all the other committees involved in it. There's a lot, we're coming up with the depiction right now, but there's a lot to think about. But my original ideas here is, say, 3 soldiers hoisting the flag atop some rubble of the building. And I really, when we have the monument saying, we need to include all those that participated, all the branches, all the forces. We need to recognize the American air power, about 7,550 B-52 bombings, tactical sorties, and our helicopters that brought the troops into Quảng Trị. That needs to be recognized as well as the units for Vietnam branches. So that depiction is probably a separate committee or something that somebody needs to think this out. Thank you.
Thank you for good idea. Any member of the committee?
Em Kenny Hoàng Tấn Kỳ. The vision of the Quảng Trị retaken monument must be include all meaning of the true history of the battle of the all South Vietnamese soldier in all every Navy, Air Force, Army, and Special Force, and other supporting unit, and also include other American unit to support for our fall in the Quảng Trị battle in 1972. And the monument must also not just only airborne, marine, ranger, air force, or navy, but also include all of the infantry unit, division 1st and 3rd division, and also the quân khu 1